Hello everyone, my name is Saokosal. This is part 3 of how to connect Android with PHP and MySQL using Volley. This is where you can find me. You can find me on this YouTube channel, on Facebook, Twitter, and GitHub. In part 1, I talk about how to set up the Volley library singleton. In part 2, I talk about how to send and get data from PHP and MySQL. And in this part, I will talk about the JSON and custom ListView. So first, I will talk a little bit about the PHP, how to convert MySQL data into JSON, how to read the JSON and pass to the Android. And then lastly, I will talk about how to get the JSON and then convert it to the data for the custom ListView. Okay, this is the previous one. And because the code here is a little bit messy, so for this purpose of this video, I will delete some of the code that is not necessary. Okay, let's do this. I will recreate this because it's kind of messy now. So let's start from scratch now. Okay, before we move on, I have to make sure that you set it up correctly. So first, you have to check that you have the compile and Android Volley in the Gradle here, and you have the internet permission here, and also you have my singleton class here. Okay, so three things. If you don't have this, I recommend you to watch the first video. In part 2, in the content main here, I create a simple username and password here. Maybe I should give a hint. And for password as well. Okay, and the bottom name is btn login, et password, and et username here. Okay, so if you have this thing, then we can move on. This sub activity is just for example, and in this video I will use it for the list view. Okay, so for now just delete it. And okay, so I got the edit text and button here already. So when you click on that, you wanna call the Volley. Okay, so first string request, okay. Let's call it string request, new string request here. Okay, so the first one is a method. You can use the method post here. So we want to use post. So request dot method dot post, and the second one is URL. So URL here, and make sure that you run WAM or XAMPP. Now I use XAMPP. Okay, so in your htdoc, maybe you should create your project. Now I create a project customer, and my login page is in the index here. Okay, so I open it already. Here is index. So maybe if you don't know this, you should pause the video and then follow this code first. So this is the HTML. The HTML is for this, for something like this. Okay, and you need to create a table inside a database. So I use a database name called customer, and the database has like two. This one is another thing. Two tables: TBL product and TBL name, TBL user, and this one for our login. And you have UID as the auto increment, also the primary key, username, varchar, UTF-8, general CI. This is for my Unicode if you are using a different kind of Unicode or encoder, then you should use your own, and password as well, UTF-8. And this is the data. If you want to add some more data, just insert here. So ABC 1, 2, 3 Kosal and Kosal. This one is encrypted, but this one is in another video about the MD5 thing. In this video, I will talk just a regular username and password. So let's test it from the HTML. Okay, now success. See here in PHP. Okay, there is a connection as well. Here, connection. So you create a maybe a PHP file and store all the information like this, or you can have a better PHP code. For example, you can have a class for a connection, or maybe you can use CodeIgniter, Laravel, PHP for, you know, if you know all of this, you can use your own, but this is for the basic purpose, and we don't focus on PHP much, so it's enough for our tutorial. Localhost, root, password, no password, database name, you call the MySQL connect and send the data. If there is an error, then there will be an error here, and inside here I call it, and then because here in HTML I use post, then I can send the data from form, and the username here I call txt username and txt password. Okay, and then I have to check it with isset, and if you got the txt username and password correctly, then you can query from the SQL. You can query by using SQL code from a database called TBL user. The binary here has to make sure that you can use only the exact word. For example, like Kosal can be written like this or maybe like this, but if you write Kosal in the database, for example, like a small letters, then you have to provide with a small letter as well. And here the result is, if you select it and the result is uh, greater than 0, it means you have the record, then you echo back the success and Android will get the data. If not, you echo something else, and this one for exit, and it will exit the code, otherwise it's gonna display the whole HTML below here. Okay, so the purpose of this tutorial is that we can send the data, txt username and txt password, and we get the data back, whether it is a success or something else. Okay, so now the URL here is customer index. Okay, and you have to make sure that you can browse it from your emulator browser like this. Okay, and the uh, alias to connect to the local host in the PC, you have to call 10.0.3.2 for the Genymotion and 10.0.2.2 for the built-in emulator. So check it like this, index. Okay, now you can do it from here. So it means that your Android can connect it as well. So copy this, okay, pass in here. And if you use a different port, for example here, if you want to use another port, like maybe 8012, okay, and you have to provide it with the 8012 over here as well. Okay, but now I use the default one is 80, so it's okay. Then here is the URL, and make sure you put the semicolon at the end already. And you have two more, and you type new space and control space. Then you can have a listener here. So the first listener is to get the data. Okay, over here, before the close brace and after the curly brace here, new, control space again, then it is an error listener. So this one to get the error, any error, okay. But if you want to customize the error like the timeout, the no connection, then I suggest you to avoid the second video. Then for now, I don't care much, so I just use toast, make, and then get application context here, and just say error while reading data. Okay, this is enough. It's a generic error, and here you can get the response back. Okay, the response back here is the success. Okay, so make sure you use log. Okay, tag response. The tag here is the name of this class because I define something like this. Then you get the class name here, and you don't have to delete log when it is in the real project because it happens only in the Android Studio only. It's about testing only. Okay, so you can check it and then maybe say if response, and I usually call the contain because contain here if there is the word success. If you say equal, because success now is okay without any space, but we never know that here has a space, or sometimes you put a space like that, so it should be an error. So I usually say contains and success. And if you are not sure with this, maybe some words, then you can just say like, okay, success, login, maybe that's enough, you know. And here, say that if you log success, then you can go to the sub page. So now I have sub page here, sub activity, and go there. Very easy. Just call internal. So now you go from main activity.this to sub activity.class, start activity in. Okay, and if something wrong, maybe login failed, then you can pause it, application contact, and say wrong username or password. Okay, lastly, you need to call MySQL, get instance, and this one get application contact, and add to request queue. Now it's string request. Okay, now you don't have any data to send. So here at the end of this, make sure that you have this, okay, highlight, and then you open the bracket and close like this. To do that, you can call get param. This is the place that you can send data. So we want to send the username and password. Okay. So map and string map param new hash map, and then param put. Okay, this is very important. You have to make sure that the variable here, the key here, has to be the same to this one. Okay, and then the data, where is the data? The data is from here, so is the et username dot get text and to string. Okay, same to password. Password also has to be the same. Et password here. Now you can send the data. Okay, and for Java 8 you don't need this one. And lastly, don't forget to return param here. Okay, okay, so default and password default. Now it's correct. Then go to the second one. Let's say it's wrong. Yes. So now you want to do with the JSON. Okay, so the JSON is already exists in the PHP here product. So to get a JSON is very easy in PHP. What you have to do is to get the data from any table like this. You can have like where, and you put some condition like row ID equal to something, you know, or maybe name like, and then you put some query here. Okay, whatever you want here, but this is just basic tutorial. We don't focus much on the SQL here. So we get all the data from product, TBL product. So the TBL product here, we have PID, name, quantity, price, image, and user ID. For user ID, it is another purpose. So if you want to get only this, then you should specify something like this is fine. Okay, and here you can fetch the data and then return to array, and lastly you use the JSON encode from PHP, and then it will encode all the data for you. This is the product. Okay, this is the JSON, and the order by descent here is like I want to show the last result first. So if you want to change anything, you just change the SQL here. Okay, now it's enough, and the image and anything here is fine. So let's go to Android now. Okay, so we will go to sub activity here. Now I want to use ListView. Okay, you are free to use the recycler view, but this is the basic one, so I want to stick with the old fashioned, you know, and I will make a video about the recycler view in the future. So now I drag the list view over here and rename it to LV. Now it's product. Okay, so let's go to sub activity here. So for the list view, you need an adapter, and then you need the JSON to be the object of the ArrayList and put into the adapter. For the adapter, I use fun adapter, which is a great one. It has some bug, but I will show you how to fix the bug. First, you have to create a class like this, and because I will use another library to convert the string to the JSON object, it is in my GitHub, Kusol Git, the KGJsonConverter. In this part of the library, I use JSON. So the JSON require a class has to be public. The property has to be public, and the serial line name has to be the same to the property name. So first you need this, and then you can download here. And also you need to download my library here, and just download the whole zip here. So copy this and go to your Android and go to another perspective here and go to project. Okay, here project, and you go to app and libs and right click and pass it here. Okay, right click on the library and add as library, and you need the JSON. JSON is from Google. Copy, paste here. The red color is fine because it is in like Gradle building process, so it's fine now. Okay, it looks good now. So we go back to Android perspective and make sure that you have this line in your Gradle build. Okay, and then you need a fun adapter here. So fun adapter has a bug. Should not use this one, but use the version 1 here. Copy and go to Gradle build again. Paste it here, and you click on sync now. Make sure you have the internet connection. And for the fun adapter, it has an error with the icon, so this is the problem. You have to fix it. You go to Android manifest here, and you need another namespace, XML namespace, tools, and control space, and you choose the tools here, and over here you call tools and replace, not remove, replace, and Android column icon should be fine now, and okay, no more error, should be fine. So let's go to sub activity here, and now you want to use the string request. The reason that I have to use the string request because my library can take only, I'm sorry, where is it? Yeah, this one. My library can take only string, cannot take the JSON. So you need the string is enough. So now you call string again, string request here, and string request, new string request. You are free to use the JSON object or JSON array from Volley, but you have to code yourself, and I think it's not easy. So I suggest you use like this, it's easier. And now is the data, so we don't need post now. So maybe get is enough, and the URL is now is HTTP and 10.0.3.2 customer product PHP, and here so you need two. One is listener, and here new again error listener. So again post make get application error while reading data. Okay, now you don't put any data, so it's enough now. And I need to call my singleton get application contact and add to request queue, string request now. So this is data, Okay, so you do anything in here. Okay, so there are two ways. One is that you can do anything in here directly, but it's kind of messy now because if you have a lot of code here, it's like a long list. It's kind of complicated, so I would not do that. What I have to do, I delete this and I use this as well, and I use this instead. So I ask the class here to implement. So click on this. It should be a red light now, and choose make, not cast, make, and okay. So it's gonna generate the method for you. You can do the same to the error, but error is fine now. It's a small thing here. So here you can get the response. Now the response is the JSON, right? So first, uh, old style is, you know, do the log and final string tag this dot get well get simple name. Okay, so make sure you get the data now. So run it first before you do anything. Okay, username, and let's see the result. Okay, now you have to change to sub activity because the tag now is on sub activity. Okay, now you got the JSON already here. So you have to do something with that. So now you have to convert that to the object before you can send to the adapter. So to send that, you have the KG library from me, the KGJsonConverter library. So here you call first you have to create a class that represents a table. Okay, so make sure that you have the property name exactly to this. So, but the name of the class can be anything. So I would say table product, or maybe just product like this is fine. And then is the integer. So public integer PID name public and public string image URL. Okay, and then you need to call the serializable, so something like this, serialized name like this. Okay, it's very important. If you don't do that, the JSON cannot understand. And then change the name exactly to this name quantity image URL. Okay, now that's enough. And then you go to sub activity again. Now you call the JSON Converter. This is my library. And what is the class name? The class name now is product. Okay, and I say JSON data new JSON converter dot, and then what you want? You want a ArrayList. This one is ArrayList. Sorry. So two ArrayList, and the string is response. Okay. And then you need a class, the product dot class. I think you have to provide this as well. Yes. So This is the way that you can convert the JSON text to the JSON object. Okay, so it should be JSON object better. Okay, now you have the JSON objects, and then you can pass it into the adapter. So for adapter, just like I said, I will use fun adapter. So in the part of fun adapter, you need a layout and a data. Now you have a data. So layout, you need to go to resource here and create a layout for the list view. Right click, new XML, and here I will use relative layout, product layout. Okay, so the data here is ID, name, quantity, price, and email URL. That's a lot, but maybe I need only the name, and maybe email URL is enough. For other, maybe it's not that important. Oh, here I have a price as well, so I forget the price, so maybe you have to go back to product here, and price as well. Price here is float, but maybe double is better. Price. Again, has to be the same to this one. So close it. Now you need an image, so just drag an image here, and you need to provide a source. So maybe just go to the code better, and you can preview this Android source, and you can use the Android one, drawable, and maybe star, big on, something like this is enough, and make sure that you scale on it. So I will scale maybe fit center. Okay, and you need a text below, so go back to design. Now maybe just one text is enough. Okay, and double click on this and change it. TV text, and this one I change to IV, just IV image. Okay, yes. And for the text, usually you got very light color, so I should change to text color. Maybe I use the color from the this one. Maybe just accent is enough. Go back to sub activity here. Now you need bind dictionary. Bind dictionary is a part of fun data. If you don't know this, maybe you go here and see some example about this. Okay, here is bind dictionary and product. Now I call dictionary, new bind dictionary, and you want to bind data. So dictionary dot add string field. So what is the name? So now it's the TV text, right? So semicolon already. Put new space, control space, string extractor. This is the product because we call the product. And maybe it's better to rename it to this. And product now is name, right? And you need one more, which is the image. So dictionary dot add dynamic image scale. So ID IV image. So you need two. One is the string And the second one is the image loader, new string extractor, and then after the close curly brace, new again, dynamic. Okay, and here the same thing is product, so you will return the product. Here is the image URL, so when you return here, the image will go to this one, to the URL down below. So you send the data from the product, remember the product. Here you get the product from the JSON. Okay, now send it to this, and then the URL will go to the load here. Okay, and the view is the image view. The image view now is become the IV image view. Okay, so it's better to change to image view like this. So image view now you can set. Okay, but it's better to use another library from Picasso. So you go to internet and you type like Picasso, Android Picasso, and then you should find this. Okay, and you need a Gradle as well. So copy this and go to build. Okay, it's a lot of library, I know, but it's a part of fun. So Picasso is very simple. What you have to do is you can just call Picasso with contact and then load the URL and then put into the image view. Okay, it's a very simple one, but if you want to handle the error, maybe you would see something down below here, maybe the placeholder for error, but let's stick with the simple one. Just copy this. Where is it? Here, yeah. So the context now is get application context, and the URL now is the image URL. But for the image URL, you have to go to database and see something like it's for me, I don't put the full URL because here we are testing in the local machine, so the IP address of the local machine is 10.0.3.2 and the project name is product. But sometime later you might want to test with your own Android device and maybe a different project, so I would rather than just put the name like this. Okay, and the img is the folder name, and the name here is the image from my project. So let's go and see the image here. Here is the folder name, and this one is the picture, and make sure that the folder has the read permission to global. So for Mac, I think you have to go to get info and make sure down here everyone has the read only. Sometimes maybe you don't have the no access because the Mac or Linux try to prevent you like to access from outside. So you have to change to read only. To do that, just turn the key and then view your password and then change it like this. But you don't want to give the right permission, so read only is enough. And this one for enclosing item, so okay, and close it back. So it's okay now. The image can be used by the Android. Otherwise, you're gonna have a blank page in your Android project. So make sure the name has to be exactly the same. Okay. So now the image here is from URL here. URL not from here. It's from here. And then you want to add something by your own. my project name is product and my project name is customer and a slash, because as you can see there is no slash in the front, so I have to provide a slash like this. So I put into the image view. Okay, so that is enough for the binding, and we need to call the fun adapter and product again, and just call adapter new fun adapter, and the first one is context, so get application context. Second one is ArrayList, so this is the ArrayList. Okay, the JSON objects here. Okay, so maybe product list is fine, don't want to confuse yourself. And this one is the layout. So what is the layout? The layout is product layout here. And lastly is dictionary, the binder. Okay. And lastly, you want to put into the list view. So list view should be created outside so that you can use it anywhere. So LV product here is from the content sub. Remember that, this one. Okay. Now I have to create it inside here. And then you want to set the data here and set adapter. Okay, looks good. Run it from the start. Okay, now see that. Okay, so now the image is okay, but you got some padding. So maybe you want to put some code here to adjust a little bit. So image view, set padding 0, 0, 0, maybe below here, and image view again, set adjust tone true. Okay, looks better now. Okay, so you can adjust the size, whatever you would want now, but the basic thing how to get the data by using Volley is like this. Okay, and you can put some event, and I suggest that you can watch one of my video about the event handler on this. This is the video. You go to my channel and you go to advanced Android with PHP and more here. This one I talk a lot about uh, event handler on the item, even the context menu, but this one I use the async task. So it's the same thing, except now you are using Volley. Okay, that's it for this video, and I hope that you like it, and I will meet you in the fourth video. Thank you.